Mark, it's sunny and nice out today, but a lot of days in October are cold. I had no idea you could go fishing in October.
October can be a tough month to fish, but it can also be one of the best months to fish. I've got a way to think about fishing in October that'll help you put more fish in the boat and catch some big fish before Halloween rolls around. Stick around. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
And I'm Megan Fuller.
We're going to tell you how to catch some big fish and put some numbers in the boat in October when everybody else is kind of getting off the water. Before we do that, guys, we hope you like the stuff that we're putting out there. We definitely would appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button. Share it with a friend. Try and get some more people into this Mark Fisher Outdoors community. That would be great.
Yep.
And for Megan, she always likes it when you do what?
Push the like button.
All right, so let's talk about how we're going to catch some fish in October. And the best way that I have to think about this, guys, is in your head, think spring from a location standpoint.
Right.
I want you to think spring in terms of the places that you fish on your body of water in the springtime. Those places, those locations are going to be productive again in October. Not for the same reasons, but we talked about it. Water temperature is going down, oxygen level is going down in the deeper water, the fish are moving in, the bait fish are moving into the shallower water, and the bass are following the bait fish, okay? So you want to go to the places that you were fishing and being successful in the springtime. But you're going to throw different baits. And the baits that you're going to be throwing, we're going to do a little trick or treat here.
Wait, do I get candy?
You don't get candy, but you get baits. That's better, right?
Huh. I feel like this is a treat for you and a trick for me. I want candy.
It's the season. Let's see what your first bait is.
All right, let's do it. Oof.
Oh, you got two.
I got two.
So this is what we're talking about first, guys. We got pumpkin on our buzz bait. A buzz bait.
Oh, a buzz bait. I've heard that one
buzz
before.
bait. And we talked about that in September. A buzz bait is a great bait to be throwing in the fall.
Okay.
Throw it up shallow, move it along, cover a lot of water. This is a great bait to be thrown in the fall. The other, and we talked about this one before too, is a spook, but I want you to notice this is a smaller size spook. I'm not throwing the bigger spook now. You're going to notice in a lot of these baits, don't want to be tipping off your secrets here in terms of what you got for Halloween or for trick-or-treating, but you're going to notice that a lot of these baits are smaller in size because the fish that have spawned during the summer have had their fry, the fry that have grown up all during the summer. Now they're, instead of being tiny little fry, they've turned into little minnow size, and so they're abundant. Smaller little bait fish are abundant. And so I'm gonna throw a little Zara spook up shallow, real shallow. We're talking dirt shallow, guys. So a buzz bait and a little spook. All right, let's see what else you have.
Okay.
What'd you get?
I don't know.
Candy corn? No. You've got two little crankbaits. Either a KVD, Strike King KVD 1.5 shallow running crankbait, kind of a square bill, or a rattle trap type bait. This one happens to be a Strike King Red Eye Shad in a smaller size again. Both of these smaller size, minnow imitating, shallow running. I'm not going to be working water that's deeper than 9 to 12 feet. and I can work both of these baits in that shallow to 12 feet kind of area. There's still grass. If that grass is still green, I'm still going to be able to tick the tops of that green grass with a square bill. That's going to be a good bait to be throwing in the fall. What's your third bait that you got?
All right, now we're on to number 3.
Trick or treat.
Ooh, this one's interesting looking.
This is the one that I definitely am going to have on, and I'm going to be working it a lot. This is a Vision 110 plus 1 suspending jerkbait. Okay, a suspending jerkbait is probably one of the few times where I'm contradicting what I said earlier in the program, which is this is a bait that I throw a lot in the springtime, and I'm going to go back to it in the fall. A suspending jerkbait is a great bait to throw near bluff walls, on transition banks, gradual transition bank, points, things like that. And this is a great bait to throw in October. Bait number 4.
Trick or treat.
How's that pumpkin holding all of these baits?
No.
You can't even get them out.
Ah. Okay, that's one. Hold on.
Oh, we're staying with the small sizes again. And we're imitating those bait fish. A small little Kitech 3.3, maybe even a 2.8 little swim bait, or a small little 3/16 spinner bait. I might be throwing these on spinning tackle, but I'm going to be up in that shallow water. I'm always going to be looking for rocks where that water temperature is slightly warmer because that sun is radiating off of the rocks, and those rocks are holding heat. And this is a time when I might be throwing either a small swim bait or a small spinner bait.
Okay.
And we've got one more category. This is, I think your pumpkin's going to be empty after this one.
All right, for the final category.
All
There
right.
you go.
We got 2 baits here, and these, again, guys, these are going to be, you're going to have these tied on, but you're not going to be throwing these extensively. So, Megan, if I can picture myself fishing in October, I'm throwing that buzz bait. I'm working around, and I'm throwing that topwater spook, and I might be throwing a spinner bait or something like that. But then all of a sudden, I get to a dock or I see a nice lay down. Now I'm going to put those down for a second. I'm going to pick up my jig, and I'm going to be putting on the back of that jig a chunk style bait. This is an important thing to pay attention to, guys. This is the time of year when I'm going to switch away from those other type trailers that have the more action to them. Instead, I'm going to use a chunk bait like this Zoom chunk, where the flappers do just that. They flap and sway in the water rather than twisting and wiggling as they go down. It's a very important point with my jig, a chunk style bait in the fall. The other bait, because I'm never gonna not throw a Senko, so I am gonna have a Wacky Rig Senko. And we saw this when we were at Head Quarry. There were fish in that 8 to 12 foot depth. When we found wood that was up tight to cover, and we tossed that Senko in, this is the time there's gonna be a big fish, and they are gonna be up tight to cover, and you can get them with a Wacky Rig Senko or a jig. So these are not baits that I'm gonna be throwing all day long, but I'm gonna have them rigged and ready, and as I'm working my moving baits and I find that perfect piece of cover, I'm gonna make a couple of casts in tight to cover to get those big fish to bite doing that. So guys, just in conclusion, remember, like I said, think spring, but use different techniques when you're fall fishing. Buzzbait is a heck of a great bait to start with. And then use some of these other baits as you're moving along. You can get some really big fish during the October months. Guys, we hope you liked this episode. Stick around. We'll see you tomorrow for another one. Have a good evening.
Stay channeled.